What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Happy Thursday. It is the beginning of week number 15, I believe. They have a monumental game tonight. The Bucks and Falcons play. That ought to be fantastic. But anyway, welcome to another edition of Giants Collective. Joined by Adriana, who is not abroad anymore. She is back in the United States. She's, I said that last week or whatever. I think it was the first week. I'm like, she's abroad. I'm like, I don't mean like she's abroad as in a woman. I mean, she's abroad across seas. So she's back joining us. Of course, I got Anthony over here, the young guy of the group. And then we got Entertainah down here. He's 40. He's a man. And he is ready to do another episode of Giants Collective. We appreciate you tuning in. If you could do us a favor, hit the thumbs up. That helps our show out more than you know. We're 5 subscribers away from 6,500. So if you want to hit that subscription button, that'd be great for us too. You can check us out on TikTok and Instagram, and you can check us out wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. And if you'd leave us a 5-star, I know I'm asking a lot from you guys. You've had a rough enough season, but we have to cover this team. So if you could help us out, leave a 5-star review. That would be great. Also, I want to give a big shout out to Doer for sponsoring this portion of Giants Collective. That's right. The holidays are here. And this year, I'm not stressing about what to wear because I'm wearing my Doers. These are the most comfortable. Oops, I'm sorry about that. These are the most comfortable pants, clothes that I own, and they make me look good. Whereas denim and lifestyle apparel is engineered for movement and versatility, whether I'm on the go, traveling, lounging at home, or going to a nice dinner party. And you don't have to own your Doers yet. If you don't have your own Doers yet, now is the time. Doer invented the original performance denim and they give us the best of both worlds, combining classic jeans wear with the style and comfort you get from athletic wear. Designed to look great and stay comfortable all day long and all year round. You can go to shopdoer.com and enter the promo code Giants Collective to get 15% off your first order. That's shopdoer, DUER.com. Enter the promo code Giants Collective to get 15% off your first order. Or you can just click the link in the description and get your Doer discount. Adriana's dog is very sleepy. Don't blame the dog. It has been a very sleepy season. People are probably like, what the hell is that noise?
I was going to say, can you guys all hear her?
I don't blame the dog one bit. Maybe the dog has a man-to-mask even. We'll get into that. Adriana, welcome back. I know that both you and Chris said you didn't watch the entire episode of Hard Knocks for the Giants, but you did see Cuss and Kafka. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you thought about the Mike Kafka part of Giants Collective of Hard Knocks. We don't have Mike Kafka on this show yet.
I got the vibe that he was kind of nervous in front of the camera because I feel like some of the ways that he was like dropping the F-bomb did not sound natural at all. And then in other instances, like they sounded very normal. So I thought it was an interesting speech. I'm very curious. Like I want to see another speech to see if like this is the normal from him, where he is just dropping F-bombs left and right. Like I never got the vibe from him that he was like a cursing type of guy, because we always saw that explosiveness from Dable, and we've never, I mean, it wasn't explosive, but it was just like a different side of Kafka that I think we've never seen. The thing that was, I would say, the most concerning to me about it was like Dexter looked like he was kind of laughing, and I was like, why do we have gone so long without being on Hard Knocks? And now the 2 times we do Hard Knocks, we just look like the laughing stock of the NFL, and it just gets worse. Like seeing Dexter laughing, I was just like, what are we doing? Like, how did we get here? How did it get to be as bad as it's been? And this is like the icing on the cake of it just being a bad season, people getting fired left and right, like the whole responses from Kafka after the game that they're trying to keep things in-house, but they're not keeping it in-house because the beat writers are trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And then Abdul Carter's tweeting back at people. I'm like, this is a disaster. Like everything about this season is just an absolute cluster. And I have not watched Hard Knocks. I actually keep forgetting that it's a thing. And then when I saw that clip, I was like, oh shit, guess I got to get HBO again because I got to start watching this. But I'm also like, after seeing that clip, like, I'm good. I don't think I want to watch the whole episode. Like, if this is what I have to look forward to, I mean, I just think this is going to make me feel even worse about everything that's happened. So I'm probably good on that. I don't know. I might not watch it at all.
Nah, you ought to watch it. It's pretty good. It doesn't just cover us; it also covers the other teams. And
thank God it's not just us.
We had the Giants had their best week of the year. By the way, they moved into the number 1 spot overall in the draft, and every team in this division lost. That's the best week we've had all year. If we're being outside of maybe kicking the shit out of the Eagles, that's always a good one. Anthony, what was your take on Cousin Kafka and the Giants on Hard Knocks this week?
It just sounded inauthentic. Like, it didn't sound like he believed what he was saying. It didn't sound like the players believed what he's saying. It just came across to me super corny, and it didn't feel like a guy who had command of the room. That's how I felt about it. It felt like a guy who was trying to win people over, trying to play tough and act tough over a game that nobody in that room really cared about. It looked like nobody gave a shit on the field on Monday night. So if this was a Tuesday morning meeting, I don't see why anybody would give a shit after sleeping on it. And that's how it came across. It looked like nobody in that room really cared. But Kafka really wanted to pretend like he cared, really wanted everybody to believe and act like they cared. And he just couldn't evoke that kind of reaction out of them. We talked about it in the last live stream. Everybody looked like they were just ready to get to the bye week on Monday night. Looked like they just wanted to go through the motions, play that game, hear the final whistle, and just head off to Cancun or wherever the hell they were vacationing. I saw Wan'Dale Robinson went to Universal for a week. So that's what I think they were all about. I don't think any of them had any interest in anything that Mike Kafka had to say, but I don't really blame them. The season's over. They've been eliminated for weeks now. What are you really going to do? Just get to the bye week and then get to the end of the season. I think that's where the Giants' minds are at. So while I think the reaction from the players was unsurprising, again, because I don't blame them for being uninterested, I do think that the reaction from fans was really funny because Kafka did sound kind of hilarious. I got a kick out of it. I've tweeted about it. I said he sounded like a high schooler who just learned how to curse for the first time. Like, he didn't know where to put those words in the sentences. They were just so randomly, sporadically placed in there. In the end, where he's like, let's break this bitch up. Like, all right, let's settle down, Mike. Let's settle down. And then picking JMS to break down the team was even funnier to me. I'm like, JMS? He seems like he's such a soft-spoken. I've never even heard that guy speak loudly in front of any crowd, and all of a sudden he's the one breaking down the whole team. I just found the whole thing pretty bizarre, kind of hilarious. And again, it just highlights to me how uninterested the players are in the rest of the season. And when they're behaving that way on a TV show like this, how do you expect the fans to behave in an interesting manner? Like, how do you expect us to be engaged and interested in the rest of the season? I don't think anybody is. I think there's going to be a lot of Commanders fans at that game on Sunday. I think it's going to be actually, I bet you there's going to be empty seats. It's going to be cold as hell. It's going to be snowing. Both of those teams suck. I don't blame anybody who doesn't want to go. I am going. I'm out of my mind. I can't believe I'm going to be sitting in that weather. My Florida self. It's hot down here. I'm excited to get out of the hot, but I don't know if I want to get into that cold.
We're going to be excited to go back when you leave. You may be excited to go back.
I haven't been in that type of cold since I was a kid. Like, I grew up on Long Island, but I've lived here in Florida for over 10 years now. So I'm not prepared, but I'm gonna have to get prepared really quickly. So I'm excited though. But
your blood is thin, Anthony. At this point, you have thin blood. You're gonna want to pack an extra layer, especially for that wind.
I'm gonna have 4 layers on
that
Sunday.
wind is gonna have teeth in it. The wind is gonna have teeth in it. So
4 socks on, 2 pants, 2 shirts, 2 jackets. There we go.
There you go. A couple hats.
I don't know if it's that cold, but if you're coming from Florida,
it is. It's probably 80 degrees down there. It's coming up here. It's going to be 19, and the wind is going to be blowing 25 miles an hour.
They said it was cold out today. It was 72 degrees.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you think
reverse,
I don't think that's cold. I don't think that's cold, but the Floridians around me certainly do. But
reverse the numbers.
That's what listen, my point across. Nobody's interested in the rest of the season. I don't blame anybody, and I'm ready to start talking about head coaching candidates and things like that rather than talking about to me tough nuts Mike Kafka going up there and pretending to be a tough guy.
Chris, what did you think about the clip of as Bobby Skinner called him, cussing Kafka?
Yeah, my immediate thoughts was my response on Twitter to Bobby's cussing Kafka tweet. I don't think the Giants should be on Hard Knocks anymore until such time that they have a product that's worth talking about from a national standpoint. Every time they go on there, they're embarrassing because of how bad the team is. And, a couple of years ago when they were on, we saw the clips of Joe Shane for like 2 years about how his kid told him to draft Jaden Daniels and the Saquon debacle. And I'm sure this will be another clip that people will throw in our faces for another year. So my mindset is I don't want the Giants to be on Hard Knocks. It's like it's kind of like, and I think I've said this before, it's when I eat a hot dog, I don't need to see how it was made, because I know if I see how it's made, I'm not going to want to eat the hot dog. Well, the Giants, to me, they're a overcooked, stale hot dog. Let me enjoy my shitty hot dog on Sundays. I don't need to see why it's so shitty. They're such a bad product, and they're, in my opinion, it's only bad things are going to come out of it. And I'm sure HBO filmed it in a way to make it probably look worse than it was in terms of the player reactions and cutting here and there to certain player reactions. But yeah, like Anthony said, Kafka came across as somebody who is almost like cosplaying to be a head coach. Like, he's not a head coach. Like he's like he didn't give off head coach vibes at all. He's not a guy that you would, run through a wall for. And I responded to somebody on Twitter, I wouldn't even run through air for a guy like that with a speech like that. And like Adriana said, some of the cursing just felt so out of place. Like it felt like he had never cursed before in his life. So it was embarrassing. And I kind of felt bad for Kafka because he's in a tough spot. He was thrown into this because they fired Dable 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then they throw him on Hard Knocks, and he's got to try to inspire these guys that have nothing to play for. So I kind of felt bad for Kafka that he was getting ragged on, but yeah, I just don't want the Giants to be on Hard Knocks until the team is good again. Like, even then, I probably don't, because I think it's a distraction, but especially now with how bad this team is, like, it's only going to be more and more clips for people to make fun of us.
I want more Hard Knocks because I need to laugh at how shitty this organization is. And what I love about it is you do get a good look as to why the organization is such a fucking clown show. And that's really why I enjoy it. Every fan knows we're a total disaster, but when you get a good look at why we're a total disaster, you can completely understand it. And it is absolutely comical at this point. Mike Kafka swearing, as soon as the first F-bomb came out, I go, that just sounded weird. Like he's forcing it. Let me swear at him. That'll be authentic. I guarantee it. If I went in there and said, what the fuck are you guys doing? If you're not going to finish out the fucking season, get the fuck out of the room. I don't want you. You don't want to be a Giant, leave. I can do that. I can emote that shit because that's really the way I feel. But Kafka, to me, honestly, it was forced. He knows he's losing his job. He knows he's not coming back here. So I feel like you see the players check out. You know they're done. They just want to get to the bye, as we talked about. They just want to get the season over. I feel Kafka is the same way. Get me out of this shitty-ass organization. I know I'm not going to be here next year. He just wants to get to the end of the season, too. I don't know why he swore, though. I don't. Now, the other guys that swore, every other team swore, too. Every other team, that's why I told you, Chris, like every team swears, but it sounded right coming from them. Yeah. It didn't sound right coming from Kafka, but I just thought the comedic value of that was hilarious because it was like he was trying to just evoke something that wasn't there. Like, it's so disingenuous. And I think that's why it's not even the swearing. It's how disingenuous it seemed. It seemed forced. That he was trying to be like one of the guys, and I'm going to talk with the dirty mouth and all this crap. And I thought it was funny, but the most ironic visual was the garbage can in the background because the garbage can with the Giants logo on. I'm like, if that isn't absolutely perfect to describe what the hell this organization is. In that meeting, it was right behind him in clear view. That garbage can. That was something I think I focused more on that than I did on
whoever's idea it was to put the New York Giants logo on a trash can and to display it on Hard Knocks. Probably should be fired. wasn't a good decision.
It's just funny. Everything is hilarious, and the hilarity of that entire situation with Kafka and these players, just like you said. Dexter, I don't know who said it. Maybe Anthony said it. It seemed like Dexter Lawrence was trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
Because it probably was out of character for Mike Kafka. And Dexter Lawrence was like, is this guy serious? I don't know. But Dexter also laughed when they asked him about Shane Bowen getting fired. So maybe that's just Dex's personality. I don't know Dex. But I had to laugh a little bit. thought this shit was funny. And I actually enjoy the Giants on Hard Knocks. I do. The one thing I'll say, Chris, they can make fun of us about Joe Shane because Joe Shane's still here. Kafka's not going to be here. So we don't really have to.
That's fair.
We don't have to worry about that going forward. But now to go into the next topic, which is even more of the clown show and the just fucked up, just organizational shit that is just everything is just it's a circus here. I don't know what else to say. And this circus is serving burnt, dried out hot dogs, Chris, without question, and stale Pepsis. So, Brian, our assistant defensive line coach, Brian Cox, gets fired. And not because the defensive line is bad, but because there was an argument about the seating on the plane from fucking Logan. How far of a flight is that? 20 minutes? How long of a flight is it from Logan? I would never fly that. I would drive. How long is that flight from Logan to JFK, wherever the hell they fly in? Is it 20 minutes?
To Newark, it's got to be.
Yeah, right? So over seating, because he didn't sit where he normally does. He had an argument, and he got fired. Anthony, your thoughts on that whole debacle?
I think it just added to the clown show that is the Giants, right? It just highlighted what a circus we've become. I mean, the fact that was a headline, assistant defensive line coach, not even defensive line coach, assistant defensive line coach gets in a fight with the head coach about a seating arrangement and then gets subsequently fired. Like the ridiculousness of that. I say it out loud and I can't believe it's a real headline. I don't know, but I heard some things about Brian Cox, and I heard that this is kind of a known reputation that he has. He's a bit abrasive, and he's an interesting character. And so when I spoke with somebody about this, they were not shocked to hear this story, and they had other stories, and they were very interesting. So Brian Cox, interesting dude. We should probably all be relieved that this is how his tenure with the Giants ended and that it won't be continuing. So that's all I'll say about that. And again, I just find it hilarious. Every week it sounds like there's just some new ridiculous story about the New York Giants, and I just can't believe that this is the organization that I root for.
The one thing I'll say about Brian Cox, it seemed like Brian Cox had a really good good rapport with Dable.
Shocker.
And it's been contentious with Kafka for God knows how long, and this was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. But this is the one that catches headlines. Chris, what do you think about Brian Cox being fired because of his anger about having to go to the back of the plane and not sitting in the front where he normally did for a 20-minute flight?
I mean, we're kind of used to this, right? Didn't Mark Colombo get into a fist fight with Joe Judge like 3 or 4 years ago? We heard about that. Like, there's always like embarrassing things with the coaching staff. And I feel like I'm watching The Apprentice. Like, I feel like Donald Trump's not the president anymore, and he's the apprentice, because every week a new member of the coaching staff is getting fired. So you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. Who's next, right? It seems like every week the Giants are firing somebody new. So it's just I just want the season to be over, if I'm being honest with you. Like, yeah. I'm excited to see Dart for the last 4 games. Hopefully he plays well. I just want to know where we are, where this team is headed. What pick do we have? Is Joe Shane coming back as a GM, which I don't think is going to happen. And I just want the season to be over with. This season has been a complete disaster. Every year we say it can't get any worse, and it feels like somehow it's been worse. Like you could certainly argue, and you'd be right, in like the last 5 or 6 years, there's been worse teams than this one. But the manner in which the Giants have lost these games, all these ridiculous blown leads, and the fact that this team's 2-11, and all these impactful players like Neighbors and Scadaboo go down, this season just been a disaster from hell. The silver lining is Jackson Dart and the offensive line's improved, but I just want the season to be over, man. And it's just another embarrassing thing that took place. You fired a guy because he didn't like the seat he was sitting in on an airplane? I don't know how much there is to that story, but I'm sure there's more to it than just that. I'm sure this is probably something, I think Anthony just said, that was probably lingering throughout the course of the year. Maybe it wasn't between him and Kafka. Maybe it was members of the rest of the coaching staff, but I'm sure this isn't the only reason why he got fired. But that's an embarrassing headline to come out, that you fired your defensive line coach because he wanted to sit first class instead of coach.
He is a coach, so sit there. And you're not first class the way this defensive line is played. But shout out to Scadaboo, walking without crutches. Scadaboo could probably play if he wanted to. He's a freaking beast. Before we get to Adriana's take, I want to say this portion of Giants Collective is brought to us by our friends at Manta Sleep. And yes, that's right. Adriana's dog was wearing the Manta Sleep mask, which is why we heard him snoring earlier, because Manta Sleep masks are fantastic. Tired of waking up before your alarm because the sun hits your face? The Manta Original Sleep Mask blocks out every bit of light so you can actually stay asleep. True 100% blackout, blocks all light, even around the nose and sides for complete darkness. They have adjustable eye cups, soft memory foam cups that can be positioned to fit your face perfectly without any eye pressure. Soft, lightweight, breathable materials, keeps you comfortable all night, won't overheat. And they have a fully adjustable strap that fits all head sizes and stays in place through the night. Like I said, I have a peanut head, so it's good for me. Make sure you guys go to mantasleep.com where you can find the Manta Sound Mask and check out all their other sleep masks and accessories. When you go there, make sure you use the promo code NYG to get 10% off your order. That's Manta Sleep. Promo code NYG to get 10% off your order. Or again, like I say, just click the link in the description. It'll take you right there and give you your 10% discount. And I do love these things, man. And it has been a sleepy season for the Giants. It's a perfect, was the perfect sponsor because we see guys falling asleep and they look like they're yawning, they're tired, and they're just uninterested. And perfect for them to get a good sound sleep while Mike Kafka swearing at them. Adriana, what do you think about the story about Brian Cox being fired over seating on the 20-minute flight back to Newark?
Well, also, I will say I took my Manta sleep mask with me. I used it on the plane, which was amazing because I had a red eye on the way there. And I used it in my hotel because I was in Paris and Brussels. And I live in the suburbs now. And I forgot what it's like to be in a city with like sirens and all the lights coming through the windows and shit. And it was life-changing. So that will be packed in my bag from now on. But
these would be really good for a plane. Absolutely. Brian Cox would have worn one and he got fired.
Was out. It was great.
Brian Cox had one of these. He would have been all set. He'd have a job. He would have just fell asleep and forgot about it. What did you think about that whole debacle?
It's just a metaphor for this whole Giants season. It's just an absolute cluster. Everything that has gone on this year, this is like a culmination of it. And you know, Kafka, I'm listening to the press conference and Pat Leonard is like, did he get fired because of this? Why did he get fired? Were you the one who fired him? Was it like, what was the issue with the plane? And the whole thing is, I'm not going to go into it. We're going to keep it in-house. Everything we're keeping in-house, except it never stays in-house. And I just wish.
It's on Hard Knocks.
Like, I get it that you have to go along with like the media thing, but at some point I'm like, can you just say fuck your media training? Because no one else is listening to it. So just tell us what happened. Brian Cox is fired. I don't think he got hired by any other team. I think that if you say we got into an argument on the plane and that was the icing on the cake for me, I don't like him because I don't like Dable. Like, I don't know, just fucking be honest with us at some point. Like, it's just getting ridiculous. All of this, like, I'm going to keep it in house. And then everyone else makes it come to light. So it's never just in house. It's so dumb. I think I heard Kafka say something like, you know, well, the run defense has been pretty bad, so we felt like we needed to change there. And it's just like, I don't care. You can tell us whatever you want is the reason for him being fired. If you think that, you know, the team's going to be better this week without him here, then so be it. No one cares at this point. Like, you got guys sleeping in meetings. They're laughing at everything that's going on, including the fucking defensive coordinator being fired. Like, no one cares. So like, just, I don't know. If you want to fire people, it's fine. My favorite tweet was Dan Duggan after the Shane Bowen firing, saying that every week feels like it's an episode of Survivor, like who's going to get kicked off this week. And then Brian Cox gets fired. And I'm like, let's just see if they fire someone every week. Like maybe next week it'll be the assistant defensive backs coach because Tay Banks sucks. You know,
just fire Charlie Bullen. Yeah, get rid of him.
Yeah, why not? Just who cares at this
point? Fire Kafka too. What the hell? Let's just fire Joe Shane at one point here.
It's just a goddamn sideshow. The whole thing is ridiculous. I just would have more respect if everyone was just honest about it instead of just trying to play like we're not gonna tell you what happened, but then it's all gonna get leaked to the media anyway. It's just it's just ridiculous. The whole thing is so stupid. So I kind of think it just came down to, Kafka was just over him because he was a Dable guy, and he's like, I'm done with anyone who's probably more loyal to Dable than they are to me. And him and I had words on the plane, so like that's enough. We're cooked. I'm going to prove that I have power as the interim head coach. I'm allowed to make decisions. So he's the next one who's out of here.
I've been a Giants fan since 1984. And this has to be the funniest, most unintentionally funny season. Normally, we would say this is a horror movie. This is just turned into a tragic comedy. The New York Giants are just an absolutely dreadful organization. And how poorly does this entire thing reflect upon our owner? I mean, this just shows you he's inept as an owner. And that's a problem. When you have a bad general manager, you can overcome it. When you have a bad coach, you can overcome it. When you have a bad owner, you can't overcome that shit. You
look
can't.
At the Jets.
Right. Look at the Jets. Look at Washington for years. Look at the Knicks for a long time. Before finally he said, I'm going to give power to somebody else. And we've discussed it ad nauseum. Mara needs a president of operations to handle the football day-to-day shit.
Well, especially now with
he has to get out of this shit and let somebody do that job. He just needs to sign the checks, oversee shit, give you input, and be done with it. Let a football person handle this shit. Now, we're not going to have the commissioner come in and save us like they did in 1979. Now, I was a little young for that when that happened, but that happened. Because the Giants were a disaster of an organization from 1964 through 1983. They made the playoffs one time in 20 years. I know my dad told me all about this shit. Luckily for me, when I started watching them, they had gotten out of it and they were good in 1984. They made the playoffs, then they made the playoffs again. Then they won a Super Bowl, and I got spoiled. And I'm not used to 12 years of being the 70s Giants. I'm not used to it. So they got to figure out somebody that can handle this shit in a professional manner and get the ducks in order, get everybody on the same page, and get some football people in here that know how the fuck to run an organization. Because this is a joke. I'll tell you who's having the best year of their life, though, is Pat Leonard. Pat Leonard lives for this. This is a season from hell for us. This is his dream season.
Yeah,
this is his dream season, Pat Leonard. And I'll give him credit. He crushed Joe Shane, and I actually enjoyed that. And I don't like Pat Leonard, but I thought he was good there. I liked that he was relentless. I like that shit. He asked some good questions, and then he didn't let him off the hook. I thought that was actually good. I know that's what he wants to do. That he'll make a mountain out of a molehill, but those are legitimate questions to Joe Shane. Like, why do you have guys taking up space on this roster that don't play? That was a great question, because we've asked them, why is Evan Neal here? Why is Jalen Hyatt here? What the fuck are they? What service or what purpose do they serve? It doesn't make sense. The Brian Cox thing's just icing on a shit cake that is the New York Giants. That's all it is. It's a joke. If you want to say, if you fired him 2 weeks ago because Jahmyr Gibbs went for 219 yards and 15 carries, and you fired your freaking defensive coordinator, he should have went at that point too. What'd you hang on to him for the next 2 weeks for and then fire him over a plane seating? What the fuck are we doing here? The Giants, they make me laugh. They piss me off. It's just, I go through all the emotions being a fan of this team. And I have to say it all the time because it's the way I cope with it. Thank God I'm fucking old, and I do remember them winning 4 Super Bowls, and I do remember how good this organization was at one point, which at least allows me to get through and go, you know what? A lot of fans don't get to see their team win 4 Super Bowls. I was lucky enough to see it, but can I get average football? Can I get respectable football? Can I get a 9-win season? Can we make the playoffs and lose in the first round? Can you give me a Mike McCarthy that can give that to us? So at least I know what it's like to win some regular season games again and at least be respectable around the fucking league instead of being a goddamn punchline for all the jokes that come out about this organization. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. It's embarrassing as a fan. I can't imagine how these people in the organization are embarrassed for what we see day in and day out. It's just disgusting. Fuck them. That's the way I feel. I don't know where that rant came from, but there you go. Clip it and put it wherever you got to put it. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Yeah, so sorry that I went off on a tangent there. That was very cathartic, and I'm probably done for the rest of the day. Anyway, This portion of Giants Collective, of course, is brought to us by our friends at SeatGeek. We'll be back in 80 seconds with your questions after this message from SeatGeek. What's going on, guys and gals? You looking for a fun activity? You want to get out of the house? You need something to do? Are you looking for a great gift idea? Well, if so, look no farther than the sponsor of Giants Collective, which is SeatGeek. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There's more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Giants season is underway. And say you want to check out Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders at MetLife Stadium? Well, it's easy. Just go to SeatGeek, scroll around, look for the tickets that you want, and SeatGeek's going to have your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know you're getting a good deal. Look for the green dots. That's good. The red dots, well, it's not so good. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use the code Giants Collective for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with the promo code Giants Collective. Make sure you click that link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. Thank you, SeatGeek, for sponsoring Giants Collective, and let's go Giants! That's right. Anthony used his 10% off code to go to the game that I mentioned in that ad read. That is going to, of course, he's not going to see Jane Daniels, though. He's going to see Marcus Mariota because Jane Daniels was going to play, but then got hurt after he threw an interception, which seemed to be the mantra around the NFC East this week was interceptions. Jalen Hurts sucks. Did I mention that? Okay. I wanted to mention. I'm on a roll today. Fucking Giants. They're fucking Giants. I just don't know what to say. I run out of expletives.
After watching the Eagles and seeing that they're 8-5, everything that has gone on this year just makes me so pissed off at this team. Like, you guys could have been in there. You would have been in the goddamn running for the division this close. And it's just, oh my God, I just hate it. And now that the bye week has gone by and we have not re-signed anyone, I'm even more pissed off at Joe Shane because I'm like, what the actual fuck have you been doing for the last 15 weeks of this football season? Because I can forgive the argument that I can get over the fact that, okay, maybe you didn't re-sign anyone during the bye week because you feel like you're getting fired and maybe they're not going to let you. Fine. Yeah, 13 weeks before that. Why is there never there? They don't know what being proactive means. It happens every year going back to 2022 with talking to Saquon during the bye week. Like, let's just ignore all the other weeks beforehand, but yet every other team is re-signing their best players left and right. Everyone's getting extensions, but not us. God forbid we want to bring back someone who's actually done a fucking good job for once in the 4 years that they've been here. Like, the fact that Illuminor is not re-signed, I'm just so obviously pissed off about it. And I just am annoyed. I'm like, what are you doing as the GM? And the icing on the cake for me is the fact that they fired Dable. He was surprised about Dable getting fired. And John Mara had the nerve to say to the media, he's going to lead the head coach search, AKA we're keeping Joe Shane. Then why didn't you get on the phone right then and call every agent of every player that you want to re-sign and get deals done? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Seriously. I don't get it. Oh, we're going to switch up the quarterbacks and we're going to make Jameis quarterback too. And we're going to finally bring in Isaiah Hodgins. Those are the things that are going to save your job. Really, not bringing back guys like Wandale and Jermaine Illuminor and Cordell Flott. Like, I just am so upset about it. Like, I don't get what the hell he's doing the whole year.
He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. It's obvious. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. This is why we're 2-11. But yeah, if we could have held on and won some of these games we should have won, we would be right there. That's what's mattering. The Eagles are not a very good team. They're not bad. Obviously, they're 8-5. Their defense is very good. But the thing is, and I'm always in Twitter wars with Eagle fans. It's just another way for me to get through the football season because they're very stupid people. Eagles fans, and it just baffles me how much they stick up for Jalen Hurts and say all this shit. Well, the Eagles were 29th in passing last year. Jalen Hurts threw 18 fucking touchdowns. That passing offense has never been good, but now that Barkley's not having a historical season and the offensive line isn't the best in the league, now they're getting exposed. And the only reason they're even 8-5 is because their defense keeps them in these games. They should never beat the Lions. They beat the Lions 16-9. They beat the Rams because they blocked a field goal that the guy kicked right into he kicked it into somebody's ass in the line. It was like he tried to miss it. They could easily be 6-7 right now, Philadelphia. If not worse, there is no good team in this division. And because we can't hang on to win games, we missed out on an opportunity. But
well, I think the good news is the Eagles are trending downward long term, but the question is, can the Giants trend upward? And
no,
we don't know that.
No, we can't.
Maybe but I have to be like remotely optimistic that with a new GM, head coach, coordinators, and maybe some help in the front office, like maybe we can have a good offseason. I also saw something that said that John Mara is like really going through it right now. And I guess the treatment has been tough. So I'm hoping that, he's okay. And when the season's over, he's really going to take the time to kind of just focus on that. But I mean, if that's the case, I think it's even more of a reason for him and Tish to say, like, we're going to bring someone in because the health needs to be the number one priority. Yeah. So I hope that's what they do. It's for the best interest of everyone, but most importantly, the best interest for John, so he can focus on what really matters. And
exactly.
You Tish, and you have the money. You have the Koch family, who's also bringing in extra money. Like, just do what's best for everyone. I really think like.
I agree. It's time for John to take care of John. Let somebody else take care of the football operations for the Giants. It'd be like you just said, it'd be the best thing for everybody. And Jason, thank you, buddy. This season to me was disappointing, but we have a quarterback one. We have a good old line. Scott, Neighbors, Theo, Flott, Burns, Dex, also been competitive, not a disaster.
It's a disaster. They're 2-11. It's a disaster. You could point to silver linings, Jason, and yes, I think Dart is the big silver lining. We think we have a quarterback one. I'm not going to go as far to say that we know. We thought many knew that Daniel Jones was going to be a quarterback one after his rookie year. I think he's been more impressive than Daniel Jones was in his rookie year because of all the fumbling problems and everything else. I'm not saying that's not the case, and I do think Jackson Dart is trending towards being a franchise quarterback. But the season, make no mistake about it, has been a disaster. You talk about Burns, you talk about Dex, and I attribute a lot of this to injuries with Dex, okay? I don't think he's been himself. But Dexter Lawrence doesn't look like Dexter Lawrence this entire year outside of a game or two. Burns has been terrific. He deserves to go to the Pro Bowl. You could find silver linings in that defense, but at the end of the day, Jason, the New York Giants are trending towards setting an NFL record for the most yards per carry against in the history of the NFL in a single season. And I'll give you another stat that I looked up the other day because I was bored, and I mentioned it after the show last week. The New York Giants, you know how many forced fumbles the New York Giants have had this entire year? In 13 games, they have forced 2 fumbles. The NFL record for lowest forced fumbles over the course of an entire season, guess what? It's 2. If the Giants don't force a fumble over the last 4 games, they will tie an NFL record over the course of 100 years. So to me, the defense as a whole, there are no silver linings. It's been a complete disaster. There's very little to build off of for this year from a defensive standpoint. For a defense that we all agreed coming into the season, they're going to be a top 10 unit. And or at least close to that. And they're the worst. They are the worst defense in the NFL. I think there's pieces, or we hope there's pieces that they could build around, but you get a better defensive coordinator. But I don't see how anybody could label this season anything but a disaster, with some hope at the quarterback position. And he mentions the offensive line, and I'm happy with the offensive line. One, we don't know if Carmen Bracell is coming back. You don't know it. We hope it. If you bring in a new head coach, anything can happen. And as Adriana just said, there's no guarantee Jermaine Illuminor is coming back. What if Jermaine Illuminor hits the open market? We all think they're firing Joe Shane, and a team's willing to give Jermaine Illuminor $24-25 million a year. It's possible. And what if the new GM doesn't want to sign him and he'd rather draft a tackle? So if that's the case, then you're starting back at square one at the right tackle too, or you're banking
on Evan Neal back there.
Or you're banking on Marcus Poe. So it's a disaster, but that doesn't mean it can't get better. That's all.
You know,
I'm
you
not-
mentioned. Oh, go ahead, Anthony. Sorry.
I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, on the offensive line, I think under contract in 2026 is just Andrew Thomas, John Runyon, John Michael Schmitz, Marcus Bowe. Obviously, the right side of the line, Van Roten and Illuminor are both free agents, so they're not under contract. I say James Hudson, he's under contract, but they're probably going to cut him. They've got like 4 offensive linemen to roll in the next season with. That's it. So as good as the offensive line looks right now, in 3 months from now, they have to completely rebuild it. Even if you like the pieces on the left side, you're talking about extending Illuminor. That's going to be tough. He's going to get a lot of money. You're talking about figuring out whether or not Van Roten's going to start at right guard, or if you're going to re-sign him, or if you're going to have to replace him. And keep in mind, he's 36. He could totally retire, and then you're totally screwed out of him. So then you have to go bring in a new talent. And also, there is no depth. The Giants have not drafted any offensive linemen, so they have 0 depth on the offensive line. The only guys that they have drafted, McKeithen, no longer on the team. Evan Neal, he's not going to be on the team next year. And Azidu, he's not going to be on the team next year. So they missed on all those offensive line picks. They've got Bo, obviously, but we haven't seen him yet. So they have to rebuild the offensive line, which is like the really shitty part. Finally, they have a good offensive line in this offseason. They got to rebuild at least half of it because you're talking about depth and the right side of the line. So that really sucks. I will say, though, for the defense, and Chris, I agree with you. The season was a disaster. That's the only way you can label it. But if you are looking at the defense, which was the biggest disaster this year, I think I'm pretty convinced, though, if you have one of these other head coaching candidates that everybody's talking about, whether it's Jeff Hafley of the Packers, Chris Shula of the Rams, if it's Spagnuolo, any one of these head coaching candidates that is a DC is immediately stepping in and turning this defensive unit into a monster. The Giants are just so unbelievably poorly coached. It's really disappointing that that's the result of the season, but I do think there are pieces. I think there's talent, and even if there isn't an excess of talent in places like the secondary, the linebacker core, the coaches that I just mentioned, Minter, whoever the Giants, if they hire one of these defensive coaches, all of them are really good at getting maximum value out of undervalued talent. Like, look at that Rams defense. They don't have a lot of high picks. The Chargers are the same thing. Packers, even they have some weaknesses, but they're masked by the coaching. So I do think the Giants defense could turn around pretty quickly next year, depending on the head coaching hiring. But again,
I agree with that.
As much progress as they made in certain areas, they got a lot of rebuilding to do again this offseason, particularly on the offensive line.
All you got to do, Anthony, is look at what the Patriots did last year. Like, they were in a similar spot to we are now. They flipped it. You could flip it quick, and I agree with your overall. I don't know if I would say that the defense would be a monster if we had Steve Spagnuolo, but it would definitely be a respectable defense if we had a good defensive coordinator, and if we could fill in those holes this offseason. Yeah, I mean, you have to think Carter's going to take a big jump next year. Everybody sees his talent. He's got to take that next step, and I think he's got to put the work in from what we've heard throughout the course of the season. Burns has been incredible. He's been a Pro Bowler. Dexter Lawrence, I have to think, is going to be better next year, another year removed from the injury. And they have another year of Kayvon. So I still think the front four is strong. But
Nick Madden should be healthy next year.
If he's back, he's a free agent, but I assume he will be. And you have to think they'll attack the linebacker position in the draft and try to help that secondary a bit more. But yeah, I agree. The defense should be respectable next year, but I got to see it before I believe it. But this year specifically, I don't know. Like you said, I don't know how you label it anything but a disaster. But there's hope because of Jackson Dart, and we got to see who the new head coach is going to be.
The season's a total disaster. Wild, horrible. I mean, horrible. One of the worst seasons I've ever experienced. Like I said, in my 42 years of rooting for this team, the core is not a disaster, though. It is a good core of players. There is a good core talent that, like Anthony has mentioned, is unbelievably poorly coached. And then we've all bitched about the coaching the entire season. Yeah, they fired Daboll and they fired Shane Bowen, but at this point, you can't. I think Anthony mentioned this when we fired him. You can't just go in and completely overhaul the defensive game plan. It's pretty much going to be the same thing. And these guys have checked out. I mean, by this point, they got nothing to play for, so they're just trying to go through the motions and not get hurt. At this point, a lot of them, especially the guys that are free agents or whatever. The funny thing about the forced fumbles, number one, we really have 3, but we know the referee took one away. The other thing is that was probably done in a 16-game season. This is a 17-game season. So you can put an asterisk next to that if the Giants do only force 2 fumbles. We don't force turnovers, and we don't get sacks. And this defense has been –
by the way, Baddog, that is coaching a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
Like when you watch, I looked up that stat because I was watching the Lion game on primetime like 2 weeks ago, and you guys reminded me of it when we were talking about it after the stream. And we were talking about Campbell, the linebacker with the Lions. He made a great play where it was instinctual. He punched the ball out. That is a lot of that is coaching. And it shines when you watch other teams play and you watch them do the little things like that. If you're coached well, any team could do that. So a lot of that is coaching on the defensive end. Like Shane Bowen is awful.
Terrible. One guy in the Giants got to look at. I said this. I've tweeted this out a bunch of times. I would love them to look at Nakobe Dean. I love Nakobe Dean. I wanted the Giants to draft Nakobe Dean.
Nakobe Dean.
Yes, yeah. And it would be. I'm pretty sure he is, and it would be nice for the Giants to take one of the Eagles players. I'm pretty sure Nakobe Dean's a free agent. I thought he was drafted.
I think he is. I think
he was drafted in 2022. So I think this is a second round pick. Yes, this is his 4th year. There's no 5th-year option. I'm pretty sure he's an unrestricted free agent. That's a guy that I'm here like, I don't want Nakobe Dean. All you got to do is watch when he blitzed.
Yeah.
Nakobe Dean actually fucking finishes the play. And I'm like, dude, if you just used him for blitzing and he did that, we need Nakobe Dean. I'd rather have him than Micah McFadden. I can tell you that right now. It'd be nice to take one of their players for a change.
Mm-hmm.
That can play. That guy can play. He was great at Georgia. I forgot exactly why he fell in the draft. I loved him, though, man. That's the guy I really like the Giants to. I would like them to turn the tables on Philadelphia for once and take one of their guys.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, I think it might have been an injury thing that popped up.
Yeah, it was something like he did surgery or something was lingering. Yeah. I forgot what it was, but
no, it was an injury thing. He was supposed to be a 1st-round pick, and he fell on draft day because of that.
But somehow the Eagles always end up with those guys. And that's why they're good, because they find those guys in the 3rd and 4th round or at the back end of the 1st round. We can't get a fucking top 10 pick right over here. And that's why we are where we are. Dr. Garrett, thank you, buddy. Love you guys. Said the highlight of our season was watching Pat hammer Shane in the presser. Low light of the season will be if we keep him. It was definitely Pat's highlight.
Yeah.
Pat likes that a lot. Jason, thank you again, man. He says, I'm still interested in the last 4 games. Can Dart get better under center?
Mm-hmm.
Can Abdul get a few sacks? Progression of Darius Alexander. Better run defense. The one thing I'm going to say about Abdul Carter, and I have mentioned this about a lot of players in every sport, I don't give a fuck how talented you are. The best players work the hardest. There is no substitute for hard work. And you've been in high school, you're the best player in the field. You don't need to try. You're the best player in college. You don't need to try. When you get to the NFL, I don't give a shit what kind of talent you have. If you don't work hard, you will be a bust. It is that simple.
Let me ask you this question, Baddog. Who's the greatest football player, greatest quarterback of all time?
Brady.
He wasn't
Who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Jordan. Jordan was the most talented, and nobody outworked him.
Nobody outworked him.
Those are the guys.
You're absolutely right about that. Yeah,
those are the guys.
Brady was a 6th-round pick. He doesn't have the talent of a Pat Mahomes or
right.
But he was a hard worker. And when you get
Jerry Rice is one of the hardest working guys you ever. Who's the best receiver? And it's not even close. Yeah. The guys with the best work ethics are the ones that succeed. I don't know if this was just an Abdul Carter thing. I don't know if he could really he rested on his laurels and said, I'm the best guy ever coming out of college. I'm good enough to wear 56 and all this other shit that he went through. And then he got a taste of home play. Hopefully there's a coach who comes in there and says, listen, buddy, you have the talent to be one of the best pass rushers in this league. But if you don't work, people are going to label you a bust. And you're not going to get a second. You're not going to get paid. You're not going to make an impact. And everybody's going to sit there and go, boy, that guy was a wasted talent. And Robert De Niro said it best in The Bronx Tale. Nothing's more sad than wasted talent. And if you don't work hard, you're going to waste it. He's going to waste all that talent. Somebody needs to sit down with him. I know he's young, but 21, he's not 13. Okay. So we need to sit down with him and have a heart-to-heart with him and say, listen, man, you are too good to have all these deficiencies in your game. You have to work, man. You have to live up. In order to live up to your full potential, you need to work hard. You need to pay attention in these meetings, in film sessions. You have to practice hard, man. You can't just show up and think that you're going to get 3 sacks.
Yeah. Supposedly LT spoke to the Post or something and was like, I love Abdul Carter. I think he's super talented. I want him to make 51 as like recognizable and whatever as much as 56 was. Like he basically kind of just was giving him a bunch of like positive feedback and was like, I'm here to help you out. You have to put in the work, like that type of thing. And then Charlie Bullen spoke to the media today and said that Carter has been in earlier. He's been focused more on the film sessions. He's, took all the feedback. He took accountability to the players and whatnot. So we'll see if that shows up.
That's good. If anybody can talk sense into that guy, it's Lawrence Taylor.
Yes, exactly.
I don't give a shit who you are. You're a young defensive player. LT speaks to you. You're listening. I don't care who you are. Yeah. So hopefully that's a good thing because we all know how talented Abdul Carter is. There's no question. His film speaks for itself. The man is a one-man wrecking crew. If he ever can just focus on that and has the want to be that guy instead of just talking about it, if he actually is about it, and he goes into this offseason, he says, fuck this, I'm going to work my ass off this offseason, I'm going to study film, I'm going to do this, I'm going to have 15 sacks next year, I'm going to make sure that I work harder than anybody else. He's going to be a stud. To me, this is what he's missing. So hopefully he takes what LT said to heart. Hopefully we have a coach there that can coach these guys up and get the best out of these guys because we know Shane Bowen got the absolute worst out of these guys. Fuck him. But if I didn't say that already, stupid. I wish Kafka would have swore at Shane Bowen. That would have been a good Hard Knocks to see that. That would have been great. Big shout out to our guy Larry for gifting 10 memberships, brother. What a legend Larry is. Larry, they call Larry Bird Larry Legend. We have our own Larry Legend here.
Didn't Larry switch his picture at one point? I think he had that picture.
He did.
He went back to the Brad Pitt from Inglourious Basterds picture.
Yes, he did. He did change it for like a second. Yes, he did. Before we get into the rest of the questions, I want to give a big shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring this portion of the Giants Collective. You guys and girls, check out Sleeper, the fastest growing app out there with almost 11 million users. They have daily fantasy contests, college football, college basketball, NBA, and so much more. You can also do over-under on stats. Let's hear from them 30 seconds back after this.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using the code HMA. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Also, on top of that promotion, Sleeper is running something right now. If you want to try out Sleeper, you don't have an account, you want to try it out for free, all you got to do is click the link in the description, open a brand new Sleeper account. They're giving you $20 just for opening a brand new Sleeper account using the Giants Collective link. So make sure you use it. There's no deposit required, no credit card, no debit card, no nothing. You get $20 just for using our link and opening a brand new Sleeper account. And if you like it and want to make a deposit, you're still eligible for the 100% match deposit bonus using the promo code HMA. So check out Sleeper. Terms and conditions apply. Have some fun. Score 1,000 times cash and test your sports knowledge at Sleeper. And why we do this, I just want to give a shout out to our production crew. These guys, our guy Borna, our guy Tori, our guy Mubsy. I'm forgetting somebody, I know I am. But just big shout out to them for putting this show together. As shitty as the Giants are, they do a great job with this channel and this show. And so we appreciate you, guys and gals that put this together. So I want to give them a big shout out for what they do for us and this show. Jason, man, thank you, buddy. He says, I'll never be embarrassed being a Giants fan. How would you like to be a Browns fan or a Colts fan? Trading 2 first-round picks for a corner and losing Jones.
Well, yeah, I mean, historically speaking, it's not even, especially when you bring up the Browns, it's not even debatable. But over the course of the last 12 years,
it's embarrassing.
We're as bad as anybody outside of the New York Jets, who haven't made the playoffs during that span. So we're pretty bad right now. But yeah, historically speaking, the Giants are one of the top 8, 6, 7 teams in league history.
Are the Colts going to make the playoffs? You guys think they're still going to make
it? I hope
it?
they do, because I want to see Phillip Rivers at 44 throwing the football.
You think he's really going to start,
Patrick Mahomes?
I don't think he's going to start.
They said they think he's going to start this week.
He's going to get killed. That's Seattle.
Just let the rookie play, man. Let the rookie play.
But he's hurt.
Yeah,
but I think he was back at practice this week.
Riley. Because he had a PCL injury or something. And
Riley Leonard did?
Yeah, that's why they brought Rivers in there, because he had
a knee.
Yeah, he's got
why Phillip Rivers of all people? There's like I mean 100 practice squad quarterbacks if they could pick up.
I think they look at it like
he's got a relationship with Steichen, and he talks to them frequently, and they figure he knows the playbook the best. But
they
I mean, he played as much football as we have in the last 5 years.
He doesn't look like he's in football shape. I could say
he's not.
That.
Yeah,
but he said, "I never ran away from anybody in my prime." It's not about running. It's not taking a hit, bro. You're not getting hit. You wait till one of these guys envelops you and plants you. He's going to take one. What's the commercial with Jerry Rice and Emmitt Smith and Dan Marino and Randy Moss?
Oh, yeah.
Where they're like, I'm going to go out and play, and he gets hit, and like, I'm good. That's going to be Phil Rivers. Phil Rivers is going to be in the next commercial with those guys. This is all for Pepsi or whatever that commercial is. Rivers is going to get hit, and they're going to put him in the next commercial next to those guys, and he's going to go, I'm good.
The culture
would have been better off bringing Payton back.
They brought the Jeff Saturday in as their head coach a couple of years ago. The ESPN analyst, obviously a former football player, but he had no coaching experience. The Colts do all things. They do stupid things.
Let me ask this fun.
To watch Rivers play.
Let me ask this fun hypothetical. Let's imagine that the Giants were in this exact same situation. Do you think Eli would come back?
No way.
You don't think he'd do it?
No way.
He's so adamant he loves being on the couch talking football for ESPN.
Because he's getting paid an assload of money to just sit there and not have to go to practice, do anything.
Why did they ask Andrew Luck to come back?
Because he won't.
I know.
I don't think he. Yeah, I mean,
it's a shame this didn't happen. I mean, I don't want Jones to get hurt. I shouldn't say it like that. It's just it's unfortunate that this didn't happen before the trade deadline, because we have a quarterback that could have went to Indianapolis, and we probably would have got something for Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Also, they wouldn't have traded for Sauce the way they did and went all in if this happened before the trade deadline. Which again, I don't know. That trade was. I understood the concept behind it to go all in because you felt like you were contenders and you were in a window. But man, and not to disrespect the guy, kick him while he's down, but there's no way that you could have convinced me to double down on Daniel Jones midseason like that. I thought that was crazy.
And now the Colts kind of they're not going to obviously sign Jones to a mega deal now, but they kind of have to bring him back. They have to sign him because they've given up all their draft picks. They're not picking high in the draft. He's a guy that's
successful. They're not. I mean, and they're not going to keep Richardson, I don't think, after this year. And Riley Leonard, like, you can't go into the season thinking that he's going to be.
They're going to trade. They're going to trade for Jalen Hurts.
My guess is the Colts probably give Jones like a 2-year deal with like a heavy incentive structure. Like if he plays, he could reach.
But Chris, is he going to be ready to go next year? He tore his Achilles.
Not to start the year, I don't think. No, not to start.
So who's their quarterback?
Phillip Rivers.
Riley Leonard. Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's true. Russ will be out.
It might be Russ.
Justin Fields. What's his contract?
I think Mac Jones. What if they trade for Mac Jones? I don't think it's going to take a first-round pick to trade for Mac Jones. They could trade for him.
I see somebody in the chat mentioned Dylan Gabriel. Like, what? How much of a joke does Kevin Stefanski look like right now? The fact that they tried to sell the Cleveland Browns fan base. And by no means am I saying that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a great quarterback. Who knows at this point? But anybody with eyes clearly could see Shedeur Sanders is a much better quarterback than Dylan Gabriel. I mean, when you watch those Browns games, those highlights that I watched, Dylan Gabriel barely looked like he could throw the ball 20 yards. So how bad of a look is that for he's gonna be fired. This
Shedeur Sanders thing is weird. Yeah. And I always look at the media is a big reason people hate Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to give you a perfect example of this shit. The media crucified Stefanski and the Browns. You're sabotaging Shedeur, leaving him on the bench, blah, 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 not starting him. It's bullshit. It's this, it's that. Now he's going to start the rest of the year. Oh, you're making him look bad because look at the schedule that he's got. They're going to play the toughest teams. They're just doing this to ruin his career. What the fuck is the matter with the media? The media is awful. It's awful. How the fuck do you bring that criminal back to WFAN. What? I don't want to get into the meat.
Craig Carton, you're talking about?
Yes. How?
What did he get arrested for?
Ponzi scheme.
You got involved.
He's a
with
Ponzi scheme. He was selling fake fraud concert tickets or some shit.
Dude, him and fucking Billy McFarlane need to hang out together. Did you guys see that he did another music festival in Utila off of oh my god, what's it off of? It's like a little island off the coast of Honduras. Like, what is wrong with these people? The audacity
I actually
of these cameramen.
Carton did like a documentary. I watched it, after he got arrested. He was involved with like the mob too. Like the mob was paying him like millions of dollars to go play blackjack in Atlantic City. And he got in like, he fell behind. Yeah, it's a crazy story. Like
what's the documentary called? I got to watch this.
I forgot what it's called, but it's
just Google it. I'm sure it'll show up.
HBO made it. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, you could find it. But yeah, he was like millions of dollars in debt with the mob because he was like borrowing money because he thought he was like this brilliant blackjack player. And when he would finish his shift with WFAN, he would drive on like a Thursday night to Atlantic City and play for millions of dollars at the blackjack tables. Yeah, and then
this is wild.
Yeah.
And then WFAN brought that guy back and got rid of Tierney and the other. Not that I liked them, but I just the media is really stupid. I don't know what else to say. It's a joke. It's a total joke. But that thing about Shedeur Sanders, Mike, you wonder why people don't like him. It's because of shit like that. Do you want him to play or you don't want him to play?
Anderson, baby.
NFL, he's got to play tough teams. You can't just play the Titans every week. You know, I'm sure Shedeur Sanders is up for the challenge. Is he going to have a game against I forgot who they play this week. Is he going to play like that? Who is it?
Chicago.
Is he going to play the Bears defense or the Titans defense? No. But something else people seem to forget is the Browns lost to the Titans.
Yeah.
So,
not Shedeur's fault, but yeah, they
no, Shedeur was great. Shedeur was absolutely great.
Also, you have to learn. Like, he has to play. It's the same thing with Dart. Like, these guys are rookies. They learn by playing football. That's the only way for them to learn and get better. It doesn't matter how hard the schedule is. Dart has also played against some really hard teams this year, and he's also had a god-awful game against a shitty team, like the Saints, and then he goes out and plays well against the Eagles. So, like, they have to learn, whether it's Shedeur, Dart, Cam Ward. No one's saying we should sit Cam Ward because we have 2 wins. Like, it's just part of the game. They have to play. Like, people are just being so dramatic for no reason. Like, fucking relax.
Go ahead, Anthony. I thought you wanted to say something.
No, go ahead. I want to talk about the next super chat, though, for sure.
Oh, gotcha. This one. Dr. Garrett, thank you. He says, give your GM and head coaching picks. I understand your question, Pat. And, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. I really like, for a general manager pick, Ray Agnew. He's the assistant general manager for the Detroit Lions. I was doing some research on him last week, and the more that I read about him and what he's done to kind of help shape the culture over in Detroit and be a team builder rather than just a scout or like a personnel guy, he does a lot for the culture of that locker room and for that organization. And I've said this many times. Joe Shane, I think he did half of the job decently. He built the roster is in a better spot now than when he inherited it. And so
it was the cap
credit for that. But yeah, and so was the cap. But I don't think he did a good job hiring coaches. I don't think he did a good job building a culture and an identity for this team. But Ray Agnew, I feel like, could do that. And I think that, and he also used to play for the Giants in the 80s, I think. So I really like Ray Agnew. If the Giants do make the GM job open, he'd be number 1 on my list. And then for the head coaches, it's kind of like, which direction do you want to go in? Do you want to get the guy who's experienced? And, we've all talked about McCarthy and why we think he is a good fit for the Giants before. And, that's really interesting. Or do you want to go after one of these coordinators like Shula or Hafley or Minter? And I like all of those guys. They happen to all be defensive guys. I like Kubiak too. It's a really diverse pool of candidates this year, but there's really, to me, not one that truly stands out above the rest. I mean, I guess for me, it's probably Chris Shula, but I know that's, debatable among everybody. So I'm very curious to hear everyone's picks for head coach, because I think there's a lot of candidates out there and they're all really interesting, but I don't know if there's anybody that really just stands out as the perfect choice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to continue to say, and I'm going to be open to whoever they decide to hire, and I'm excited to see when they actually bring in the candidates so I could really formulate a real opinion. But for me, in terms of the realistic candidate, for me, it's McCarthy. Outside of a guy like a Tomlin becoming available, and I know like a lot of fans aren't excited about Mike McCarthy, but I've given my reasoning as to why I think he fits this particular situation for the New York Giants. I don't need to continue to say it, but for me, it's McCarthy. Out of the realistic candidates for the Giants, that's who I would want.
I like Tomlin. He's my top
my number
pick.
one.
I
just don't think it's going to happen, but he's my number one. I agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, if he happens to become available, same thing with LaFleur. Would love him too. For the head coach, I like Shula. I like guys that have come from the McVay tree. I think him learning under McVay, everything that we've heard about him has been great. I also think Jeff Hafley would do a great job. One thing that I've heard about him is that he's really turned around the Packers defense from a what is the word that I'm looking for? He's just been like a strict type. And I think he's well respected in that locker room. Someone that I talked to who's a big time Packers fan was talking about a specific instance with a player who, like, when he first started with the Packers, was known for kind of like fighting with other guys and like doing stupid shit. And now under Hafley, he's like done a 180. And even when guys on other teams have tried to provoke him, he's kind of stood his ground and not gotten involved. So I feel like that's a really good instance of what Hafley has been able to do. And I think if he could do that with the Packers, he would instill good like practices with the team. So I like him a lot as a head coach option. For the GM, I'm with Anthony. I think Agnew is such a great option. And then I also really like John McKay from the Rams. If you look at the Rams draft since he's been there, he's been with the Rams for a while and he's worked his way up. So he spent a lot of time with the organization in the scouting department. Now he's the assistant GM. And I think he's been an integral part as to why their drafts have been really good. And if he hasn't, at least he's learned from someone who's done a really good job with drafts over the last 5 years, if not longer. So for me, those would be the top two picks, is Agnew and McKay.
I'm going to throw another name in there that I think the Giants should consider as the head coach, Sharon Moore. I think that'd be a good choice too.
Yeah. As far as GMs go, I can't say that I know.
It was a joke. He just got arrested today.
I wasn't paying attention to that. I didn't know that he got arrested.
I was like, am I hearing
I'll tell you what, if nothing else, he's got a job waiting for him at WFAN. Then he's perfect.
There you go.
As far as the GMs go, like, I don't really know much about them. I can't speak to it, so I'll just go by what Adrian and Anthony. I got to do more research. I never really look at, particular like possible GMs. I don't, but I do think Joe Shane's gone at the end of the year. I do, and I'm not gonna be upset about it. Head coaching, pretty much everybody what they mentioned. Yeah, if Tomlin ever got fired, just bring him in yesterday, without question. Obviously, there's a lot of hotshot coordinators, and Chris has mentioned this. There's no exact science. You look at the Patriots, Vrabel's a retread. They're the best team in the AFC. You look at the Bears, it's Ben Johnson. You look at the Jags, they brought in coordinators, and they've turned their team around. So there is no exact science. What I do know about the Giants, and like I said, my biggest reason, it's not the sexiest pick, but Mike McCarthy to me just brings stability to an organization that really freaking needs it. You know what he does. You know what his track record is. His coaching record speaks for itself. You can talk about the fact he's not good in the playoffs. He's only won one Super Bowl, and I will continue to say it till I'm blue in the face. We need to win regular season games before we can even think about the postseason. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Get me a guy that wins between 10 and 12 games a year. And let's get back.
If they want to go the home run route, for me, my personal preference, and I'm not going to be upset with any of the guys that Anthony mentioned, because I view any hotshot coordinators as a home run candidate.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
Like Shula, young guy. And again, I don't view it as very realistic because I don't think they'll let him leave. But if you could ever get Freeman from Notre Dame, and I'm biased, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but I love that guy. I think he's a great motivator. I think he could be a great NFL head coach if he ever got the opportunity. He's young. I would love him. And he's been thrown around. I saw Stapleton made an article today on him. So, and the Giants have at least expressed interest. So that's a guy that would excite me. He's got some head coaching experience, not at the NFL level, but he's been a great collegiate coach. He won Coach of the Year last year. I still would prefer McCarthy, though, because of his NFL experience. But I do like Freeman from Notre Dame if he's a realistic candidate.
Poor Art had a rough day on Twitter yesterday.
What was that about? I like missed. I saw he was like.
I don't know what it was about. I just know he was responding to a lot of tweets. He was having a rough day, and then he came out with "This isn't crashing out."
I'll tell you what it's about.
When he responded to like 10 tweets,
what was it about, Anthony? I want to know. I didn't know what it was even in. I didn't know the context.
He wrote an article, and he was kind of going over different scenarios that could unfold for the Giants this offseason, especially if they have the number 1 overall pick. And he kind of touched on a new GM and head coach might come in and decide to draft Mendoza and trade away Jackson Dart. And everybody just kind of freaked out and thought that he wasn't suggesting that that's something that they should do. He was trying to say crazier things have happened. Somebody could get hired and rip the team down and bring in their own quarterback if they hold the number 1 overall pick. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Dart has really proven it.
What I'll say to that, Anthony, it's not an off the wall. Yes, that's at least a risk. When you bring in a brand new GM, he at least has the freedom to do whatever he wants. And especially if you have the first pick, if he loves Mendoza, he can do it. But my argument to Art would be with that, if I was a GM, even if I like Mendoza a lot, I wouldn't force the quarterback yet. I would say Jackson Dart's good enough where even if I didn't view Dart as the potential long-term quarterback, he's good enough where I could keep building this team, trade down, acquire assets, and he could man the fort for a few more years before I get my quarterback. So I personally don't think it would happen, but okay. Yeah. As a hypothetical, it's a possibility. Continue.
Yeah, he kind of just said it was a possibility. I think a lot of people took it as him saying, watch out, maybe it'll happen, or maybe it's something that the Giants should consider. I don't think he was saying it's something they should consider. I think he was just kind of like, but you know how fans are going to be. And this was kind of my thing with it. Like, I get Art defending himself, but you kind of just put yourself out to dry there. Don't even write that. Like, don't mention that. You know how fans are going to react. You can't act shocked when fans get aggressive and act crazy about you kind of floating the idea of trading away the only hope that this franchise has had in the last 10 years, the franchise quarterback that they found. So I don't know. I mean, it just felt like a self-inflicted wound in some ways. And then I didn't even know that. Getting into the Twitter fights.
Yeah, he said, I know that. I said, I know this app or this thing format is a cesspool. I like Art, but I was like, you're having a bad day, buddy.
Yeah.
So basically, that whole thing was just started over a hypothetical scenario where he wrote an article where the new GM.
And then I guess you have to pay $1 to read the article, and people had a fit about that because he's like, it's $1, and he's like, I shouldn't have to pay.
I saw that. I thought people were just upset because he was giving context to Kafka's speech.
I thought
that was, and I was like, people are really upset that he's just saying, like, you have to keep in mind they had just gotten off the plane, they didn't get a lot of sleep, like they were tired. I was like, what the get off the internet, people.
Yeah.
Get
Art had a bad day yesterday.
That's exactly it. He got the double whammy. He was being attacked for two things.
He had a bad day.
As Baddog said, he had a bad day. That's
who's saying that song?
It's a 24-hour news cycle anyway. He's fine today.
It is. Yeah. Who sings that song? Because you had a bad day. That was Art yesterday. I like Art.
I will say this, though, and I don't really want to dive into this topic, but there's been a surprising number of fans commenting on Fireside Giants videos saying that they would take Mendoza first overall.
That's crazy.
It's very surprising to me, and I haven't wanted to poke that bear yet, and I'm not going to tonight, but I just...
What
are we thinking? What are we doing?
We'll discuss in the offseason.
I'm sure
that's not even worth discussion. I'm not doing that.
Not now, but it will be depending on where we pick in the draft.
I don't even pick him first anyway, so it'll be.
I don't either because the Raiders.
I'm trading out of the pick. Raiders could get.
The Raiders are on our. They play us in 2 weeks, and they need a quarterback, and they suck. If we can't be, what's that?
Tank Bowl.
Yeah, that is the Tank Bowl. Jason, thank you. Is Mara a bad owner in 2007 or 2011? Perspective is needed. Bengals owner is as bad as is Jerry Jones. And Mark Davis, Mara is not perfect, but not the worst. I'll use this. Al Davis was a great owner, and then the game passed him by, and the Raiders have been fucking terrible ever since. You can say the same thing about John Mara.
And the other thing I'll say about Mara, and I'm not trying to rag on Mara. I feel bad for him right now. He's dealing with cancer. The Giants were even inconsistent during those years, if we're being honest. Like the Giants during that entire year, they were basically a team that hovered around 500. They had a couple of 9 or 10 win seasons, and Eli Manning for the first half of his career had a good offensive line, and the team got hot in the playoffs. But it's not like those teams outside of the 2008 season where Plaxico Burress shot himself. It's not like those teams were like dominant.
2010 was a really good one too. The
Yeah.
fucking Deshaun Jackson thing ended our. So we were 10-6 that year.
Yeah.
The
Also,
Plaxico thing is
Eli-
what I was going to mention, though, because like if you're talking about the ownership is supposed to bring stability to the organization. And when this team was the best that it's been in the last 20 years, their best player shot himself in the leg. So
Right.
I don't think you can use the 2007 to 2011 span as being like a glowing review for Mara anyway. And again, no disrespect.
Yeah.
And I
actually-
also
like
think
John
that
Mara.
I agree.
Mara took over like 2005. The team was already built there.
Of course.
Again, owners can get bad. Jerry Jones, you can say whatever you want about Jerry, and we do, and we hope Jerry lives to be 1,000. We love him. The Cowboys are competitive every year. I would kill for competitive right now. I would kill for it. Now we go into the postseason 6 years in a row and get knocked out before we get to the championship game. Then I'm going to get a little irritated about that. I would love to be irritated about that. Right now,
I still can't believe the stat when I looked it up about McCarthy when he had 3 straight 12-win seasons with the Cowboys. The New York Giants in their 100-year history have never done that. They've never had 3 straight 12-win seasons, which that's crazy to me when you think about the history of the New York Giants. The Giants have been a team where they haven't been consistently good. If you look at the history of their franchise, Baddog, you talked about the wilderness years in the 70s to the early 80s where they were nothing. We've basically been nothing since our last Super Bowl, but they've been a team when they get there, they win. You know what I'm saying? You look at a team like the Bills, they've gotten there to basically the same amount of Super Bowls we have, but when they've gotten there, they can't win. The Giants have taken advantage when they've gotten there, but they haven't gotten there as frequently as some of these other historically great franchises.
Yep.
Also, I want to read, I don't know if you guys follow Dave Syvertson, but this tweet from him is absurd. 1989 to 1990 under Parcells and 2005 to 2008 under Coughlin. Over the last 39 years, these are the only seasons that the Giants have made the postseason in consecutive years. Lack of sustained quality over the span of nearly 4 decades is a direct correlation to one constant, and the one constant isn't going anywhere, which is why hoping for luck is all Giants fans have to grasp. So again, we're not here to rag on Mara. There's no such thing as a perfect owner, but when you see things like that and you look at what's gone on over the last couple of years, it's not like the Giants have been a powerhouse organization who more often than not is competitive and a good football team. He is also the guy who made the decisions to fire Coughlin. He's the guy who decided to bring in all of these different coaches. He is the guy who decided to pick Brian Daboll, who had that whole fiasco with Brian Flores, with Bill Belichick. Like, all of these things fall under the owner.
The guy that picked Joe Judge.
Yes. So
and Jason Garrett.
Right. So I think, he's not perfect. I think we all agree there's no such thing as a perfect owner. But I think it's more about, like, when you look at those Super Bowl runs, I mean, Eli Manning in the postseason is unlike anyone else. Eli Manning's not our quarterback. We're not winning those Super Bowls. So, a lot of it goes into the players and them playing the best that they can and the coaches, but then, they decided to move on from Coughlin and they decided to make those changes and whatever. John Mara decided to keep Shane Bowen, Joe Shane, and Brian Daboll this offseason when literally everyone was like, get them the fuck out of here. And now look at what Vrabel is doing with the Patriots. It's just, I don't know. I think it's been a rough go for the Giants under him in the last.
John Mara, to his own demerit or whatever, his own, he's too loyal. I think that's a problem.
He's loyal
I think
to a fault, for sure.
He's loyal to a fault. And I think that's a problem. We're not sitting here trying to say John Mara's a bad guy. And there's no question. He wants to win. He wants to win. He wants the team to be good. Okay. He just doesn't know how to make it happen, which is why we need a president of operations come in here and make it happen. That's why. It's just he doesn't know how to do that. And he's not supposed to know how to do that. He's the owner. Just take care of the business shit. Like I said, give your input now and again, but let somebody else run the day-to-day shit. You don't need to deal with that, especially at his age, especially with what he's going through. Get a guy in here that can do the football stuff. You'll be much better off, Jason, thank you again. He says signing players are two-way street. Who's to say Jermaine doesn't want to test the market? He re-signed Andrew Thomas and Dex before they hit free agency to say Joe Shane has it.
Well, that's fair, Jason, especially at this point in the season. There's only 4 weeks left. Thinking about it from a Luminor's perspective, I don't think Shane had the power to sign anybody at this point, if I'm being honest, because I do think he's going to get fired. That's just the vibe that I get.
Mm-hmm.
But from a Luminor's perspective, he's had a really good year. So if you're Jermaine Luminor with only 4 weeks to go, why are you in a rush to sign at this point? You want to hit the open market. You know the Giants aren't going to tag you. And even if you want to come back with the Giants, you want the rest of the teams around the league to drive up the price. So this late in the season, somebody made that. I actually brought up that point today on Twitter, and somebody responded. I'm like, actually, that's a really good point. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I brought up that the fact that Joe Shane hasn't negotiated. Hasn't negotiated with these players during the bye week leads me to believe that he's going to get fired. And somebody responded and they said, well, if you compare it to 2022, 2022 was mid-season. This is late in the year. And that is a good point when you put context into it. So thinking about it from a Luminor's perspective, I wouldn't be rushing to sign at the bye week either, if I'm being honest, because you only got 4 weeks left. You want to hit free agency.
But there's
no rule that says he has to wait until the bye week to sign everyone. Why aren't you having that? I think Joe Shane should have been having that conversation in week 5. And start the conversation then. And don't fucking lowball him. Like, you lowballed everyone else. The offensive line, like if Joe Shane in week 5 could have said, I locked him up for next year, and the offensive line is one of the best pieces of this football team. I came in here and fixed one of the biggest problems. Like, hello, that's helping you stay on for next year. Plus Jackson Dart and Scat and like all of the other things. I'm not advocating for Joe Shane to stay. I don't want him to stay, but I think if you're someone who's trying to save your job, why would you have not done this earlier?
Yeah, get your best players re-signed.
Right. I don't care who the GM is next year.
A lot of money.
Yeah, I don't care if it's Shane or whoever it is. They have got to bring back Jermaine Luminor. I don't care what the market is. You can't sign him to a 5-year deal because he's 32 years old. I think or 31, 32.
Yeah, but 3 years probably.
3 years with a 2-year out, but he has to be brought back. We can't go into next year hoping that Marcus Bowe can just step in and be a really good right tackle, because if he's a disaster like Matt Parrott was, like Evan Neal was.
Yeah, he's a 5th-round pick. We liked him, but he's a 5th-round pick.
That could blow up the entire O-line, and that could set Jackson Dart back. You're already going to have Jackson Dart having to learn a whole new offense next year, so he's going to be behind in terms of that. You have to make sure he's supported in terms of the offensive line. You can't get cute there. Jermaine Luminor has to be brought back.
Exactly, because, listen, Marcus Bowe is a 5th-round pick. You picked Evan Neal as a 7th overall pick, and you saw what kind of disaster he was. So there's no guarantees there. You know what Luminor brings to the table. You need your bookend tackles, especially with a young quarterback that you hope is your franchise quarterback. And he's already having a hard time taking hits and getting concussed. So the last thing he needs is a right tackle that's getting beat and getting. He's
got to be brought back. If you got to overpay him a couple of $1 million, you overpay him.
It's for the betterment of your quarterback.
Yeah.
And you need to protect your quarterback. You give him the money because you don't have to give it to Jackson Dart yet. That's the benefit of having a really good quarterback and a rookie deal, is you can build around that guy.
Yeah.
As soon as you have to give him $60 million a year, your franchise is fucked. Sure. Just look at Washington, man. I look at Washington. When they have to sign Jaden Daniels, and you got Deebo Samuel, and you got Bobby Wagner, and you got Terry McLaurin, and you got guys that are my age out there, and they're going to retire, and you got to replace them. How are you replacing them? You're going to give Jaden Daniels, he's going to get paid $65 million. How are you going to build around him?
And isn't that that's the whole thing that's so valuable about having Jackson Dart on the rookie side, is you can afford to overpay the offensive line to support the rookie quarterback. I don't think there's a breaking point for me. You pay Jermaine Luminor. You make sure he is back with the New York Giants. He's got to be. Yeah.
Yep.
Larry Legend. Thank you, brother. He says, Adriana, didn't you hear Joe Shane's conference? If you sign the pass rush, you can't pass protect. If you sign the pass protect, you can't sign the pass catchers. If you sign the pass catchers, can't sign the pass defenders, so just let them walk. I understand the question, Larry.
Yeah. I know. I heard him saying that, like justifying if you pay this, then you can't pay that. If you pay this guy, you can't pay that. I'm like, I get it, bro, but the offensive line is like one of the most important pieces of this team. You should be paying them, and you're not going to end up paying Kayvon. So you've got Abdul Carter on a rookie deal, and you're paying Brian Burns. Like, the offensive line is a premium position. Did we not learn this for the last fucking decade? Like,
It is weird
I
that he
can't
didn't
with
resign him
him.
because that was the one truthful thing he said was I had to get rid of those guys to fix the offensive line. And it's better. And that is exactly why he let Barkley and McKinney walk. And he did fix the offensive line. He had to let those guys go. Listen, I know they're two great players and they went on to great success. So they're very talented, but they are the least important freaking pieces of your. If you don't win in the trenches, you're going to lose. I don't give a shit if your running back is Barry Sanders and if your safety is Ronnie Lott. It doesn't matter. You're not winning games with a running back and a safety. Those are pieces you add when you're ready to win a championship, like Green Bay did. Like they can afford to pay him because the rest of the team is built. So I get it. So it's very weird that he didn't re-sign Luminor when he's sitting there going, I brought in Runyon, I brought in Van Roten, we drafted the JMS, I re-signed Andrew Thomas, I got the line back to being serviceable and better. Why isn't he?
The thing that's crazy to me about Joe Schoen, and I want him fired. Like I want him fired. But the thing that's crazy to me about Joe Schoen is he accomplished the two most important things that I wanted him to accomplish when he took the job. He got what we think is the quarterback of the future, which is by far the most important thing. And he's gotten the offensive line back to what we feel is respectability.
Right.
Those are the two most important things when he took the job.
This is why I was such an advocate of keeping him, but just looking at this organization, you can't
have to fire him. But it's crazy that he was able to accomplish what I thought were the two most important things.
Good, he got the base. Now let somebody drive it home. You know, you mentioned McCarthy being the Thibodeau for the Giants. Maybe Joe Schoen was the Thibodeau in the GM spot, and now we just need a GM to drive this thing home with all this talent and pick the right coaching staff to get the most out of the players that have the talent that we think they have. And then you start winning some football games, and everything is much better. But we just have no faith that that's going to happen because it hasn't happened in 12 years. And we've had a lot of GMs. We've had a lot of coordinators and a lot of coaches and a lot of linemen and a lot of everything and a lot of losing. That's what we've had here. Bear. Thank you, buddy. I think at this point we should pass on wide receiver one in the first round. If we're going to go BPA, I think there's more defensive players that are better, assuming we pick in the top 10, even if we trade out of that.
Yeah, I'm open to it, Bear. At the end of the day, you know, I think they're going to address the wide receiver somewhere, whether it be trade, free agency, early in the draft. I think they're going to do it because unless they sign Wandell, if they sign Wandell like Anthony's talked about, they may not prioritize it, a high-end wide receiver too. But I do think they're going to do it at some point. But me personally, at this point, if we stay where we're picking, which we probably won't, just because our schedule is so bad.
Pick the Raiders. We play the Raiders.
But if we stay where we're picking, I just want them to trade down and get as many draft assets as they possibly can, and then take the best available player. This defense is a mess. Yep. If you get an impactful defensive player with that pick, I'm fine. I just want you to have a plan throughout the court, not just the draft, free agency, trades, everything else, to be able to give Jackson Dart the pieces that he needs to be able to take that leap that we've seen Drake May take this year. You look at the Patriots. Patriots spent a ton on that offensive line this offseason, right? So the Giants have got to be able to support Jackson Dart. That's all I'm saying.
Trade with the Jets. They got picked.
Yeah.
That's why I put that on Twitter. I shouldn't use the word tank because people are like, oh, the players aren't going to tank. And I understand. I should say, would you rather the Giants lose out? That's really what I should have said. I always word that poorly. It's not tanking. Should they lose out? You can't tell players to lose. I understand that, but we lose even when we play hard, right? So do you want them to continue to lose, or do you want to see them win a couple games?
I want them to lose. I'm being honest. I'm not going to be like watching the game on Sunday, like smiling when they lose the game and rooting for a loss openly. But if you're asking what I think is best for this team right now, lose out.
We'll laugh at them anyway.
That's my honest opinion. I hate to say that as a fan. I never root for my team to lose, but
it's where we are. We're numb at this point.
Yeah,
it's better off if they do.
Analysis is Washington is fourth in total yards. Giant defense is second to last in rushing yards. Not a promising combo. It is if you want the first overall pick. It is. It's good for us. And they have three guys that can run the football. Rodriguez.
He runs hard too, Rodriguez. I was watching that.
Rodriguez, Krosky, Merritt. I forgot the other, McNichols. They got three pretty good running backs. And Mariota can run too. I know Mariota didn't play well when he came in relief against Minnesota, but he played well against Denver. So he's very capable. Just kind of sucks. I wish Daniels was playing. Dart and Daniels, I put that on Twitter because it's true. I hate the other two teams in this division so much. I really would like Dart and Daniels to be battling for the division. That's really what I want to see.
Do you think Daniels, and it's way too early, but that was my biggest worry with Daniels coming into the pros. Like in terms of skill set, like it was clearly apparent that he had the potential to be a Lamar Jackson type of quarterback at the NFL level. But he's just built like a toothpick. And now
he's tall. He's got a big hit area, big target.
Yeah, and he took a lot of bad hits in college. That was another thing that worried me. And now, I mean, obviously, this is bad. Now he's had multiple injuries this year. Do you think he's gonna? Do you think you see another RG3 for Washington? Not that I'm saying he's gonna be completely fall apart, but is he a guy that doesn't have sustained success due to injury?
They're in trouble. They're wide receiver McLaurin, number one. That was a terrible contract. They gave McLaurin $96 million. That was a horrible contract. Debo Samuel is not what he used to be. Ertz is a fucking disgustingly dirty hit. I don't like Washington, but that pissed me off the way he got hit. That was such a dirty hit. The guy went right at his knee. His career's over. So what does Washington have there for Jaden Daniels? So, yeah, I don't know. And I feel like even before he got hurt, I feel like the league adjusted to him. And they were going to adjust to him. And he wasn't having a terrible season, but he wasn't having a season like he did last year before he got injured.
Yeah.
So, that's their fucking problem. We got our own problems over here.
Well, I'm curious. What do you think, Anthony? Do you think he's going to be an elite quarterback? Because going into the year, I said it on paper. I thought he was the best, just based on how great he looked last year, especially as the year closed. And I looked around the NFC. I'm like, he's the most talented quarterback in the NFC going into the year. And obviously the injuries have played a major part. But do you think Jaden Daniels is a guy, if you're a Washington fan, that you worry is going to be able to stay on the football field and be consistent?
You definitely worry. I mean, Giants fans are even worried about that with Jackson Dart, and he hasn't had even the same kind of injuries that Jaden Daniels has had, and he's not built the same way as Jaden Daniels. And any franchise, any fan base is going to be worried when a quarterback gets hit that much and misses that much time in their first season or two. So it's a natural worry, but I think Jaden Daniels is going to be fine. I think he's going to bounce back next season. I think he's going to find a way to stay healthy. He's got a really good coaching staff coaching him. There are questions about the talent. It's an old-ass football team, as Bad Dog was kind of alluding to. They're going to have to rebuild it around him. I don't know if he's going to be elite year in and year out, just because I don't think the talent around him is going to be good enough to sustain elite play. But nevertheless, I think that he is a super talented quarterback, and long-term, he's going to be fine. Like, he's going to be a good quarterback. How much is he going to be on the field? We'll see. And how much support does he have on that field around him? That's the big question mark, but he's a damn good player, and I think he'll continue to be one.
You like Dan Quinn? I've never liked Dan Quinn as a head coach. I like
Dan Quinn. I don't think he's top 5 head coach in football, but is he, good enough to – I mean, he did a tremendous job last year, and what I'll say about Dan Quinn, he can hire some damn good coordinators. When he was in Atlanta, he had Kyle Shanahan on his staff. Now he has Cliff Kingsbury. And if Kingsbury leaves, he'll hire another OC just like that. It'll be another – and that's why I think Jaden Daniels is going to be fine, because he's always going to be well coached. So, maybe Dan Quinn isn't the best situationally, maybe not the best game manager, maybe he makes those mistakes. But in terms of locker room, team building, and coaching staff construction, he's an ace. And I think that's why Washington is going to have a brighter future than they've had in years past.
David, thank you. Hey, Chris, sorry about the polar bear.
Oh, God. It is what it is. The Mets, I said it all the time. The Mets have only had one player in the franchise's history that's been very good start to finish with his career with the New York Mets. I was hoping Alonso would be the second guy, or Nimmo would be the second guy, and the Mets to get rid of both of them this offseason. So that was tough to see Pete Alonso go to Baltimore. I expected it, as it was unraveled.
A lot of money, man. Yeah, a lot of money.
The way that they handled Pete last offseason, they basically treated him as if, go out and get your money, and if you can't get it, come back to us. And he didn't get the money because he was coming off a mediocre year, so the Mets got him back on a prove-it deal. He proved it. He had a monster year, and I kind of expected it to happen, but I still hate to see it. That's like the Yankees losing, a home, like an Aaron, not that I'm comparing to Aaron Judge, but a homegrown guy that you saw come
Cano is a good one. We lost Cano.
So, sickening. And it's embarrassing because we're supposed to have the owner that is supposed to have more money than God, and he lets Edwin Diaz walk out the door. He lets Pete Alonso walk out the door. He lets Nimmo walk out the door. He traded Nimmo, but we'll see. I gotta hope that there's a plan. I have to think there's a plan.
Signing Devin Williams and letting Diaz walk made no sense to me.
Maybe they had Bellinger, but even that wouldn't make me happy losing Pete Alonso.
I don't understand the relief situation. I don't know why you would want Devin Williams to be your closer after. I mean, he's in the same market. You did not leave, you changed boroughs. You have the same media market. You have the same pressure, probably more so with the fucking Mets because they missed the playoffs last year and just spent almost $800 million. Let's not turn this into a baseball show. Chris, you and I talk about this every year. We never actually do it. We really should do a baseball show.
We should.
We really should.
Yeah, we should. Maybe we'll do it this year. Finally, we'll do it.
We've said that for 8 years. So we have not done it. So don't expect it. Just like don't expect the Giants to have a good season, and you won't be disappointed. Bear, thank you, says, what do you think is a realistic haul for picks we could get? Assuming we have the first pick, that Field Yates article, I felt like we could have gotten more with other teams that need a quarterback. Well, it would depend on who you're trading with, where they're picking, and I didn't see the article. So
yeah, the article had them they traded down with the Jets, so they got pick 7 and they got pick 18 was the 2 projected first-round picks from the Jets, and they got a day 2 pick. The Jets don't have a third-round pick, so a day 2 pick would mean a second-round pick. So they got 2 top 20 picks, one of them being a top 10 and a day 2 pick. I don't think the Giants are getting much more than that. I've seen a lot of fans say that's not enough. They should be getting more. At the most, I think you're getting 2 firsts and you're getting a second because it's not an ultra-competitive quarterback class. It's Mendoza. I don't think there's really a 1B. I don't even think there's really a 2. I think there's a gap between Mendoza and a 2 right now. And, things change by the time we get to April. It's so far away. But also, I don't think there's a ton of quarterbacks picking at the top of the order that are going to drive the price up too much. Like, there's a few teams that need quarterbacks. I don't think those teams are nearly as desperate as they've been in years past. Again, let's wait till April and see how things change. But I don't know. I think that's a fair amount to get for that.
Whenever I discuss like what you could get in a trade, I like to look because I was just pulling up as you were talking, Anthony. I like to pull up historical trades that were similar. So immediately I'm thinking of the Bryce Young trade because that was recent. They traded up to get Bryce Young, the first overall pick. The Panthers moved from 9 to 1 in that trade. So I don't know how far the Giants would be moving back, but they're probably 7, 9. So in that trade, the Bears received the 9th overall pick that year. So they moved from 1 to 9. They got the 61st overall pick, which of course would have been, I guess, a very early 3rd round pick or a very late 2nd round pick.
Very late second.
The 1st round pick of 2024, a 2nd round pick of 2024, and DJ Moore, who I would probably at that point, because he was very young, that's probably like equivalent to another 1st round pick, right? I mean, you see what some of these wide receivers go for when they're young. They usually get a 1st round pick. Right? Maybe a late 1st round pick. Is that fair to say in terms of compensation for a guy like DJ Moore? So they essentially got a late 1st round pick, a 2nd round pick, a first round pick the following year, and they swapped first that year, and they got a lot in that trade. Now again, that's 1 to 9. I don't know how far the Giants are trading back, but I would want at least a future first. I know they have 2 first round picks in this year's class, but I would want at least a future first if the Giants are trading back. At least
they didn't get all that because they moved from 1 to 9 though. They got all that because 2 stud quarterbacks at the top of that class, and there were teams bidding to get in front of one another because they didn't know, was that team going to take Stroud? Was that team going to take Young? Who knows? So they were trying to fight and get in front of each other. It's not going to be the same this year. So it's not even about moving down. It's about the competition, and there's just not enough competition, in my opinion, to drive that price tag up. But who knows? It's December. It's barely mid-December. We're talking about April, 28th? It's a long ways away.
Too long. Anthony, one thing I'll say, though, if Mendoza's like the price here, and the fall-off is so drastic from him to everybody else, don't you think that would drive the price up for somebody to get to that number 1 pick to get that guy if they needed him? Like, if the Raiders and Jets both need a quarterback, don't you think that would, like, drive the price up for those guys?
It could. I don't know. Is Mendoza really that guy, though, that's going to
I don't know that he is.
That price tag anyway? Like, he looks really good. He's the Heisman frontrunner. I understand all that. But, again, all these quarterbacks are going to get dissected. They're going to move up. They're going to move down. It's a long process. And so,
the underwear Olympics mean a lot. We know that. If it goes to them.
the interviews matter a lot too. So I mean, we'll see.
There's a long way to go.
All it takes is one team, though, Anthony, to say that's our guy. We're gonna do what we got to do to go up and get him. So
we'll see. We had a long ways to go. And we probably aren't going to pick first anyway. So it's going to be mute at this point. Moot. Sonny Vegas says most Giants fans point their boat trip in 2016 was a downfall. Plexico burst in 2008 was the beginning of the end. They only made the playoffs 3 times since 2011, 2016, 2022. It ruined our dynasty.
Yeah,
we had a dynasty.
The only argument you can make against that point that it was the beginning of the end is they did win a Super Bowl after that. But yes, that was like you said, Baddog. It felt like they were going back to back, and who knows what happens after that. So,
and if Jerry Reese would have fucking ponied up a 4th round pick for Tony Gonzalez in 2008, who the hell knows? But he said, "I'll give you a 6th."
Yeah,
that was the beginning of the 2008 was the beginning of the downfall. It's the best. That could be the best. And I watched the 86 Giants. That may be the best overall Giants regular season team I've ever seen in my life. They were top 5 in offense and defense. That 86 offense was not very good.
I say it all the time, Baddog. I point to the stat: the Giants over a 30-game sample size were 25-5 between 2000, if you include the playoffs, between 2007 and 2008. They of course started 0-2 that year where they won the Super Bowl. They then won 10 out of the last 14 regular season games, so that's 10-4. They went, of course, 4-0 in the playoffs. They won the Super Bowl, 18-4, and then they started that year 11-1. So
and the ironic thing is, Chris, our last 30 games now we're 5-25. Complete 180.
Life of a Giants fan.
Yep.
We're so pissed off. We have nothing to talk about. This show's been almost 2 hours. We can always find something to bitch about here when you're a Giants fan. Our guy, SPP Williams. Good to see our friend from across the pond. Happy Collective Day. I wondered, knowing how corporate life can be, that they have locked down big moves by Shane because he's gone. They're still playing him, so they need to do something, hence the coaching search.
I think Anthony, I don't remember if Anthony brought it up during the show last week or after the show, but I do think it may have something to do with John Mara's health. The fact that they haven't fired Joe Shane yet, it may have something to do with John Mara's health. It really might.
Yeah, it definitely could. And it's just something that they'll address it in the offseason.
Yeah,
without question. Yeah. With that brings us to the close of another edition of Giants Collective. We do appreciate you guys and girls tuning in. We know it has been a very arduous season. We have 4 more of these games to get through, and then we will actually have some fun discussing how we're going to improve this team going forward. Always give a big shout out to the sponsors, Sleeper, SeatGeek, Doer, and Mantle. All the links to all those great sponsors are in the description below. You can check us out on TikTok and Instagram. You can check us out wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and Amazon. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. If you want to go the extra mile and let a friend or two know about this show, that would be great as well, because word of mouth is the best advertising. And I promise you guys and girls, we'll be here for the duration. We appreciate you tuning in because, like we said, it's tough to watch, and we understand that. So with that said, for Adriana, Anthony, and the Entertainah down below, he's 40, he's a man, and we will see you in the next one. Have a great weekend, everybody. We out. Oh, by the way, I should mention this. We haven't locked this down yet, but I know Anthony's going to the game. We have discussed doing a live post game after the game, which I would guess would be probably around 6 o'clock or so on Sunday, because the game is from 1 to 4:30 or whatever it is. So keep an eye on that, because that may be something going forward where instead of doing like a Thursday show, or a Tuesday show, we replace it with a post-game show. So just stay tuned for that. I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the stream. Now we can get out of here. So again, for Adriana, Anthony, and Entertainah, it's a bad dig. It is. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. We out. Peace.